You're all ready.
Great. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town Board Work Session for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. Can I get a motion to open up the work session, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Jill, the first item on tonight's agenda, the front of Town Hall planting plan.
Right. Pam, you've got that planting plan? It seems we talk about the front of Town Hall a lot, but we have an update on it and I wanted to share it with the board. So, Pam, if you could stick around just with your cursor a little bit, maybe, let's see, can you make it a smidgen bigger or is that just, okay.
This is about it.
Okay, that's fine. So, when last we spoke, we talked about the fact that we were going to be restoring the front of the Town Hall parking lot, which we have started the process of doing. And one of the things that we were doing in the course of our restoration is we knew we needed to install drainage, a specific type of drainage. It's a separator. Nick, help me out. Do you remember what that's called? It's it separates out oil from water that would be
Separator.
an oil. Really, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Sorry.
Water oil separator. That's what okay. I was sure it was something more sophisticated than that, but that is exactly what it is. And it's required to be installed in parking lots when you've got drainage that runs by a wetland, and Tertia Brook borders the parking lot. It's just right on the other side of the driveway. So when Bart's crews were taking and just assessing the condition of the drainage in the area, they determined that it was actually in dismal shape, which really shouldn't have come as a surprise to anyone because it's the same vintage as all of the pipes that we replaced in our downtown. So the good news is that we did our inspection before we ripped up the parking lot and the asphalt and repaved. So we do have to do some drainage work before we do that. As a result, there is the drainage pipe actually makes a bit of a, that's it. It's that pipe that runs that one and it comes down the parking lot. There's right to about there, and then it exits. And that's the pipe that's going to have to be replaced. So to make a long story short, we will be restoring the parking lot, but we're going to be restoring it in phases. So the first thing that we are going to be doing is we are in the midst of installing a fire hydrant that had to be installed along South Greeley Avenue, right opposite the library. So if people drive by now and they see that there's a trench along the front of South Greeley Avenue, that's what the trench is for. So the hydrant's going to be placed in. It was part of our streetscape and required, so we're doing that. After that, Bart's crew will be taking and removing the item 4, which is the asphalt type surface that's on the parking lot now, and the underlying gravel. And they'll be doing it through the area that's indicated with the light green. And after Bart's crew does that, Ike's crew will be coming in and they will be laying down topsoil and creating planting beds on either side of the front area. One, I believe, is going to have a weeping cherry, and that's going to be for a memorial for the lives that we lost to COVID. And the other side's going to have a regular cherry tree, and that's a honorarium for our COVID angels that helped with making all the appointments for people to get vaccines.
I think there was like still, I know in the beautification board meeting last night, there was some discussion about the trees.
Yeah, and by all means, you could change them in any way you want. That was just the initial thought. There are the 2 brown lines in front of them are memorial, are the benches where I believe the inscriptions are going to be, they're going to be the same type of benches that we have for. If you notice, there are a lot of lines that take and cross the front grassed area. Those are all utilities. And so we were sort of limited as to where we could take and plant the trees, because you have to make sure that you're not running, affecting a sewer line. You don't want roots to take and evade sewer lines or gas lines or water lines or anything else that's running underneath there, and everything else is. So although it looks like it's a dormant spot that nothing's going on, there's actually a tremendous amount going on underneath. So we had to sort of be mindful when we laid it out. So I'm going to leave it in the very capable hands of our BAB to take and work the finishing touches on the planting beds and the trees that ultimately get planted out there. But we are on target for June to have this, fully planted, and we hope to have a ceremony dedicating it at that point. Now, the remaining portion of the parking lot will be addressed either in the fall or it's going to be addressed next year. Bart's team already has a full schedule of drainage projects that must be completed this spring. It's preliminary work so that those roads can be paved, and I am loath to disturb that schedule. So this will keep for a little bit. We'll be able to plant the front of the garden and have our memorial the way we were going to, and our tribute tree in front, and it'll just be in phases. So I just wanted to update the board when you see that there's stuff being removed in the community, when they see that the entire area is not being replanted, that's the reason why, that it's being done in phases. But we hope to have the lion's share of the project completed by June. So it's right around the corner. So we're on track. You'll see a lot of activity in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay,
Jill,
Yep.
will you let us know if the tree choice changes? 'Cause
Lori,
I love the idea of a weeping cherry and then a regular cherry. I
I
love
thought it was
that.
sweet, but
Yeah, I
dichotomy
think that
there with-
the feedback was kind of two parts. One, they like things to match, and two, that that one weeping and one not weeping seemed kind of sad.
Really?
Yeah, one's commemorating death and one's celebrating
life.
life.
Yeah.
Would have had a nice juxtaposition myself, but
Yeah, I love it.
whatever.
I just want to make sure that when we talk about the COVID angels, Jill, just that we're not only honoring the people who made the vaccine appointments, which is super important, but also, people who volunteered in the early phases of the pandemic as well, with, people who were making masks and people who are raising money to support the local businesses, that we had COVID angels who did a whole range of different volunteer activities.
Do we have proposed language for either one of those plaques?
Like, we usually approve that language before it goes out. So we.
Yeah,
can
I'm
make
just
sure.
curious. Yeah,
I don't think it's been drafted yet, to my
Okay.
knowledge.
that's something we should. Yeah.
But the town board should approve that language, since it's going to be on town property.
It's short. It's just what's going to be on
Yeah.
the plaque, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm happy to work with you on taking a crack at what it might say.
That'd be perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you, Pam.
The conservation board, I think members of the conservation board did work with Dennis to update the plant choices, and
Terrific.
We
We got some natives and stuff
my
like
feeling
that.
is that that they're happy that plan reflects essentially just about all the plant choices, and the BAB had some discussion, but really no were aligned for the most part with the plant choices, with some question about the tree choices.
Great.
I feel like the tree thing, I get what you're saying. I usually I like symmetry at my house, but I feel like there's like an artistic sort of reason behind the two different trees. So, that I think is actually important. It's like a message as opposed to just.
Yeah, Jill and I had talked about it a number of weeks ago, and I thought it was a good idea, but we asked for their feedback, and that was the feedback that they gave. So we can decide to overrule it, but I wanted to raise the point.
Yep.
All good. So the next thing on the agenda is an authorization to approve tax refunds. So we haven't seen too many of these lately. So depending upon the timing of a tax certiorari matter where there is agreement that an assessment will be reduced for a prior year, normally we can time it in such a way that the adjustment to the assessment makes it into the new assessment roll upon which the taxes are based. And so there's no refund necessary. But in certain instances, the agreement misses the deadline to be incorporated into the assessment roll. So it means that there was an agreement for a certain year and the assessment roll was set before this agreement was incorporated. So the bottom line is that we owe refunds based upon an agreed upon reduction of an individual's assessment. So we've got two properties and the math sheets are in front of you. One is a property on Newstat Lane. The other is a property at Sawmill River Road, where there was an old assessment, a new assessment, and because there was a differential in favor of the property owner, they are due refunds. The one on Sawmill River Road is due a refund of $356.11. And the refund for the Newstat Lane is $728.38. So the documentation is in your packet. We will be forwarding, so this is the town refund. The county will be responsible for their portion of the taxes that they'll have to refund based upon the reduced assessment for the properties. Does anybody have any questions on that? Christina, got it right? Yeah. Okay. Next is ELQ change order number, it's actually just going to be number 42. And this is the credit to Newcastle from ELQ for the granite curbing. There were 17 spots along our streetscape that we determined that the granite curbing was not up to what we had expected from ELQ, as opposed to requiring them to take and rip up out 17 spots and disrupting our streetscape again. We took a credit in lieu, and it's $55,000, 55, Lauren, help me out, 55, 727 or 47?
27.
27, $55,727. And so that's a credit that's going to be coming down the pike. The next is the Hates Road film permit. We had talked about this last week. In work session, we had the film crews in, we had the neighbors in, and as a result, we have created a pretty substantial set of conditions for the film company. This is the first time that we are actually having a film company film in town for more than 7 days. So it required a resolution of the town board. So we've got a resolution here that authorizes the filming at 48 Hates Cross Road from Monday, May 17th through Monday, June 21st. There is a schedule for each of those days that is going to be, actually, maybe we'll take and post it online. It's going to be part of the film permit and the resolution that gets approved. The neighbors will have copies of the timing so that they're aware as to when activities are going on. There's going to be police presence on the property. The parking is going to be at the Chappaqua train station, and they've paid us to rent those spots for the 25 days that they're going to be filming. They're also going to be responsible for all water billing on the property. And last but not least, the noise ordinance has been waived to a certain extent. Section 90-4B of our noise ordinance is going to be suspended to the extent that noise from the production shall not exceed 60 decibel levels at any time of day or night. And that's actually our current law for daytime hours only. It's 45 decibels at night on a normal basis, but because they are going to be working out there, 60 should cover them. And that's about it. We look forward to a very successful and very quiet filming experience for everybody involved. So we'll see how this works.
And so thank you for the work on, the schedule with the filming crew and so on to make sure that we had adequate information to be able to share with the neighbors so that they knew what to.
Yeah. Of course, we want to make sure that the neighbors are as impacted as little as is humanly possible.
I do still think it would would be in the interest of the town to think about whether coming out of this experience, we need to make any changes to our film permit kind of process and the language that's in the code today, to think about whether we need to, have more guidance for potential filming in the future, because, I do think there's a tremendous economic development opportunity that has presented itself here, and, hopefully we'll see in the future as well. So, having clearer guidance perhaps would help to facilitate that going forward.
Right. And the way our ordinance reads right now, it doesn't seem to, encourage this type of activity. And that'll be a decision for the board as to whether or not, in light of our experiences with this, whether or not that's something we may want to change.
Jill, do you know if there's another community that does a lot more of this, that may have, this will be one experience with, with a production company that seems to be going to great lengths to appease everyone, which may not always be the situation. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for us to talk a bit to Westchester County Film Board about this, and perhaps other towns that do this on a more regular basis, to kind of get a feeling for what the pain points might be if we're looking to recruit this kind of activity to the town.
Right. Yeah. I think almost everybody does it more than we do.
We can get the Arts and Culture Committee to take it up if you want and look into that.
That might be a terrific thing for them to take a look at and see. And because there have to be some safeguards that, is opposed to reinventing the wheel for us, some safeguards that are put into place, but our statute just doesn't cover them. That would be terrific. And make sure we follow up with her without that master class and the director's cut.
That's what I wanted to say. Can we put that in the permit? Like requiring them to give us a screening and a director's talk after the screening?
Yeah, you know what? I will speak to Anna about that and see what we could do. She seemed to be very
because I think they were really amenable to it. I don't think that's going to be an issue for them, and I wouldn't mind having it in there.
Yeah,
can't impose it as a condition, but it's something they agree to.
Right.
Well, all right. We'll ask nicely. It's all good.
We don't have to approve the permit tonight, though, Jill?
No, what we're going to do is we're going to approve the resolution tonight. Yeah, as is, these conditions. And I can't issue the permit until I receive payment and we get our last little I's dotted and T's crossed on the insurance. And Nick, the only other question I want to ask you is I thought that the film permit sort of acted as a contract to cover the insurance and the additional insured.
It should.
That
would be my interpretation. We should discuss that offline.
Okay, all right.
But that is the contract, right? I mean,
that's what I thought. But okay, so I just need to we'll follow up with that. Let me see. Then I'm sorry. Is there anything more on the film permit? Are we doing time wise? Not so badly. All right. Good. I can slow down. Sorry. I knew we were late, so I was like whipping through. So the next thing on the agenda was, so as the board is aware, a significant portion of our town is contained within the Sawmill Sewer District. And those properties pay sewer tax, even though they may not receive any sewer service at all. In fact, their properties are serviced by septics contained on the property. The good news is that the Westchester County is expanding the sewer trunk line to run up 120. And so there will be, in the coming years, added opportunities for those properties right along Quaker Road to directly connect to the trunk line, but also will allow the town to take and expand local sewer districts to surrounding areas that are off of Quaker Road. But there are areas in town that will not benefit from that particular expansion. And so in those areas, individuals, if they meet certain criteria, have the ability to petition the county to be removed from the sewer district. The owners should be aware of the fact that if they do petition and they are granted permission to remove, it doesn't mean that they have the right to re-enter the sewer district if in fact the sewer comes to town at a later date. In the alternative, they may be responsible for all the back sewer fees that they didn't pay while they were out of the district. But having said all that, we have a request from a resident in the Sawmill Sewer District that is currently on septic to be removed from the sewer district. They meet the criteria in that they are a certain distance away from a sewer trunk line, that they have an acre of property, and that they have no history of septic failure. On the basis of that, we can support a petition to the county to allow them to request permission to be removed from the sewer district. It doesn't mean that the county will allow them to leave. It's not our decision, it's the county's decision, it's their sewer district, but we can support the petition. And so we're going to be requesting that the board approve a petition tonight to allow 63 Brevoort Road to leave the sewer district.
Jill, do you want to take a minute to maybe remind people also, that the county offers the septic service reimbursement?
Yes, so every 3 years.
That not everyone should try and remove themselves from the district.
Well, not everybody can remove themselves from the district. So for those people who have less than an acre of property, the county will not allow you to leave. So I can't leave. I'm stuck with the, whatever it is, the annual fee is for being in the sewer district. The other thing is if your property has had septic failures, they won't let you leave. And if you are a certain distance away from a trunk line, they also won't let you leave. But if you're in the sewer district to stay, at least for the time being, every 3 years, the county will reimburse your pump out of your septic system. We actually send notices around to people within the Sawmill Sewer District, notifying them of this. I have to take a look and see whether or not this might be something that we're doing either this summer or next, but we do it as a courtesy. And so if you are pumping out, there is a form on the county website that, we will put on the town website with a link to make it easier for our residents to access it. And I think maybe we'll do a mailing as well.
I think you already put it on there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
There we go. What a good thought. They also allow for, I think it's once every 5 years, for you to have a sewer, a septic inspection. So unfortunately, the once every 3 years, the cost of a septic pump out is a great idea. It doesn't cover it doesn't fully reimburse you for what you're paying in sewer tax, but it's certainly something, and it'll help keep your septic system in working order, which is really a good thing.
Yeah, I would suspect that a lot fewer people who qualify for it take it. There's fewer people who take advantage of it than qualify for it.
Right. As is always the case, and it's really a shame because they're leaving $300 on the table, and that goes a long way to a sewer pump out. So.
Jill, when we support this and send it over to the county, it might also be a good time to ask the county if they have any additional information for the town with regard to future capital projects and expansion of the sewer district. We talked about this particular property actually is my next door neighbor. It's adjacent to mine. So not next door neighbor, kind of on the street, but our property lines are touching. And we talked about this issue before with regard to the fact that the sewer line goes up and then goes halfway up Old Lyme and then stops, and that there's a potential, I think, for the county to pick up quite a few residents here on the east side of town if they kind of put some money towards this, and maybe the capital project is a priority. So I would love to reintroduce.
Right.
Not just for myself, but also for, there's really quite a few of us that they could pick up pretty quickly by just going a little bit further up the hill there.
Right, and I have to tell you that Bob Scioli has on his desk plans that were preliminary plans from the county that cover that entire area.
Right.
And it's just a matter of the county coming in and expanding the trunk.
I feel like the county has put the town in a very uncomfortable position because people come to us and they want to get out and how do we not support them? They're being charged
Right.
for something that they're not using. And we try to make the case that perhaps they ought to stay because one day the county is going to do this. And when is that day going to actually happen? We don't know. And so they put us in an awkward position here. And it would be great to just understand what that capital plan is with regard to sewers.
Right. And, it's what we're going to be able to do for the communities that are off of 120 as you're going down to Roaring Brook School,
Exactly.
which is fabulous. Because, are the, not that they're small properties, but they are the smaller properties. And so it really is should be a relief to those property owners to be able to not have to worry about septic and additional septic fields, which they may not have room for. So that this would be great.
Yeah.
And again,
And that's watershed area. too.
Absolutely. And
sensitive.
that's really, you hit the nail on the head. That is why the county is really reluctant to allow people to leave, because a failing septic just affects everybody's, water quality. And so that's really what they're trying to forestall. The interesting thing about the 120 sewer trunk is it's a beneficiary of the work that's actually being done for Riverwoods and Yeshiva, and the fact that the county had to take and eliminate a choke point down at Hunt's Place. So, as the county takes and increases and improves their infrastructure in one area, other areas adjacent to it reap benefits. So that's an awfully nice thing. And we wish they would continue. So.
It's great. It's nice to see a little progress though.
Yeah. And it's great because it will have a ripple effect insofar as progress goes, because it will allow us to take and create local sewer districts like the King Greeley Sewer District. That's a local district. That's, something that the town was able to do. And, it's fabulous. So we'd like to be able to continue that. Any other questions on this? Okay, the next thing we have is the home rule legislation, and this is parkland alienation. Nick, do you want to go through this with the board? Me too.
Yep. So the board may recall that with respect to the chap line, there was a portion of property that was going to be swapped with a neighbor. And to do that, we were required to obtain approval from New York State because the property is dedicated as parkland. That's a two-step process. The first process is for the municipality to adopt a resolution requesting the legislation be drafted. The Assembly and the Senator did that. There's also been communications with the Parks Department. To my knowledge, there's been no objection from the Parks Department, which we wouldn't expect because this is a like-kind exchange. There's no net loss of parkland, and it's the land that is being swapped is going to be put into place for park purposes. And so now that the legislation is being introduced, the Senate and the Assembly have introduced the legislation that we've requested. So the next step now is for the town board to adopt a resolution requesting that the legislation be adopted now that it's being introduced. And hopefully we can get that done this legislative session. So the next step is adopt the resolution, and then we'll send the appropriate forms up to the Senate and Assembly.
Cool. That happened faster than I thought it would.
Yes. Agreed.
I'm shocked. Yes. Great. Wow. Thank you. Any questions on that? Otherwise, we have a couple of administrative items. Payment of claims, adoption of monthly reports, adoption of minutes, water mailer expenditure. We just wanted to bring the water mailer expenditures to the town board's attention. Christina, can you just tell the board what it is that we're doing our water quality annual?
Sure. So by law, we're required to send the mailer annually to all of the property owners in Newcastle. So as part of that, we include some key information on the community. And each year we do this, we get bids from different providers. So there will be an expenditure that we I had asked the administrator to bring it before the board because it is an expenditure, but I know the board's still really reviewing every penny spent. But this is something we're required to do by law. We did get 2 quotes, including a quote from Westchester County to do it as part of their shared services. We were able to get a local provider to do it cheaper. And so we are going to go with that, but unfortunately, this is an expense that we have to incur.
How much does it come out to be, Christina?
Without postage, it's about $8,000.
Yeah.
But that's several thousand less than the second quote, which was supposed to be very competitive. I think they really sharpened their pencils to get the bid, this local provider.
Good for them. Okay. So that's we spend between $8,000 and $10,000 doing our annual mailing without postage every year. So that goes out. That's that thick thing. So please, when you see it come in the mail, do not throw it out. Open it up. Take a look at all the really great information that's inside it. It's the only mailing that we send to the entire town each year. So we try to jam pack it full of everything we can possibly think of. So
That's true.
and that should be coming by the end of May, correct?
Correct. It should be in everyone's homes no later than May 31st.
Right. And that's by law. So we need to get that out. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
And the last thing is authorization to approve the state plan of the Operation Interagency Agreement for the police, which is one of these pro forma. Thanks. Does anybody have any questions on it? Okay. All right, then that's all I have for the town board meeting. I'm shocked. Our work session, our town board meeting is going to start in 10 minutes. So,
Jill, excuse me.
Yes.
You're missing one. I don't think you got the updated agenda. Is the
oh, I'm sorry.
to accept a donation?
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much. I apologize. So, Sari, I'm sorry. What's Sari's last name? Shaw? Has graciously offered to donate a generator to the town. And Bart took a look at it and was thrilled with it. So we are going to have one of our resolutions is going to be an authorization to accept the donation of this generator, this little portable generator. And we thank Sari so much for thinking of us and for donating it along. That was really great. Thank you. Hopefully we will never have to use it, but on the off chance we do, we will be thanking her in perpetuity. So thanks
That's
very much.
terrific.
And thank you, Tiffany. Anything else that I missed on it or just that? Just that, thank you.
Are we going to hold off to start the town board meeting because it's early? We're going to roll right into it.
Well, the only thing you can't do is do the 2 public hearings because they were noticed for a specific time, but you could do other business.
Whatever you want to do. You want to take a break or you want to go straight through?
Can we take like a 2-minute break? I drink a lot of water. Okay.
Okay. All right. And 2-minute break it is.
So technically, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
'cause
motion
you're
to
breaking your
adjourn.
quorum. Yep.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, great.
We'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right.
Hi, Gray.
Hi, Gray. Oh,
Gray, can you hear us?
I think we're just waiting on town council. Oh, and there you are. Hi, Nick.
Yep, hello, sorry, I was here, I had my camera off.
So can we get a motion to open up the town board meeting, please?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
One day we'll get it right, guys.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the town board meeting for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. So as I have in weeks past, I will hold the majority of my supervisor's report for the e-newsletter that will come out tomorrow. But I do want to make one announcement. Tonight, I am announcing my intention to resign from my position as Newcastle Town Supervisor. My last day will be Tuesday, June 15th. The reason for my resignation is that my family is leaving Newcastle and relocating to Chicago at the end of the school year. Earlier this year, I announced that I would not be seeking re-election. And while I'm sad to be leaving office before the end of my term, it's time for me to put my family first and to do what's best for us. I appreciate the community's understanding, and I know that you will give us grace as we take this important step towards healing. I have the deepest respect and admiration for Deputy Supervisor Jeremy Saland, and I'm confident that I am leaving the town in the hands of a strong, smart, and empathetic leader. As Deputy Supervisor, Jeremy has already gone above and beyond, taking on additional responsibilities that go well beyond those that are typically assigned to a deputy. In addition, Town Administrator Jill Shapiro is a dynamo, a pro, and the hardest worker I've ever had the pleasure of being a colleague with. So we're fortunate to have Jill running our town, and we have a thoughtful and capable town board, and we have the support of town hall staff who have continuously impressed me with their diligence, their kindness, and their professionalism. The town is in good hands. My husband, Christian, and I will miss this community. We have felt so fortunate to call Newcastle our home for the past 11 years. I remain incredibly grateful to have had the opportunity to serve as your town supervisor, and I will always keep this community in my heart. So that's all for me. Jill, Town Administrator's report.
If I may jump in before.
Please.
All right. Ivy, on behalf of all of our colleagues, town staff, and the entire community, and I'm going to make me choked up. Please know that the leadership, character, vision, and professionalism you exhibited during your tenure on the town board and as supervisor will leave an indelible mark on Newcastle, and one that unquestionably has and will continue to make this community stronger, more inclusive, more welcoming, healthier, and far more vibrant than before the day you stepped in town hall. You are a remarkable woman. You have shown each one of us what it means to lead by example, while also personifying courage and compassion. I am personally grateful to have worked with you on behalf of our shared home, but even more importantly, and selfishly so, I am thankful for a friendship that will always extend far beyond elected office and our municipal borders. You and all residents should know that upon your resignation, when it comes to doing the people's work, this town board will not miss a beat. The transition will be smooth, and each one of us here will continue to move the community that we love and that will always call you one of our own, on a trajectory for success. I'll say that Chicago is lucky to have you, but we are just as lucky to have had you here for those 11 years, and I'm sure beyond. So thank you, Ivy.
I'm just going to wish you every happiness because you deserve it. Grace under pressure. And, you know, my words, of course, when I need them, fail me. But it's been my pleasure to work with you. You've taught me a tremendous amount. Patience and restraint, to just name two. We're going to miss you. But I'm excited for you guys, and I'm excited for the new chapter, and I'm tremendously hopeful for the future. I see great things going forward. Please don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
And Ivy, I really quickly, I know this could not have been an easy decision for you at all for many, many reasons. And I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to be with you on the town board and to get to know you personally over the last number of years. And I just wish you and your family, you know, happiness and health and healing. And we will definitely miss you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay.
Nick, if we decide that she can't resign, can we vote against it or just not?
I don't think we get a vote.
Well, you can always zoom in, right?
I think I would just not adjourn the meeting.
Exactly.
Okay. Public hearings?
Before we do the public hearings, we need to do the public comment new business.
Sorry.
Yeah. So we've come to the portion of our agenda this evening that's dedicated to public comment and new business. So if anyone is here to make a public comment, other than those who are here to comment on the two public hearings that we have this evening, now is the time to do so. So please feel free to raise your hand. And while folks contemplate whether they'd like to make a comment, I'll ask Christina Papes. We did have one public comment I know of that came in that I had sent to you in advance to ask you to read into the record, please.
Yes, I do have that. So we did receive a public comment from a resident, Ben Herman, and he had asked that we share this with the board and the public. So I'm going to read that right now. Good morning. Please include the following submission in the public comments for this evening's meeting. Yesterday, the Town Department of Public Works removed signs from my private property. The signs were not within the town right away. When I inquired by email to town DPW, this was the email response I received from Steve Davis. Quote, "You mean the signs on the corner of North Place and King Street? Yes, those were in the town right of way and removed. If you like the signs are at Town Hall and can be retrieved and placed further up on the hill out of the right of way, end quote. I responded to Mr. Davis's email message by asking him how many feet he considers the town right of way to be in that location. He did not respond. Prior to the trespass by town employees and the removal of my signs, I followed the guidance of town council and consulted my survey and moved the signs more than 3 feet beyond the right of way and onto my property after the town's recent meeting discussing enforcement. A photo of the signs prior to removal is attached for your reference. I am greatly disappointed in the infringement by the town upon my First Amendment rights. I ask that you stop the selective enforcement of this rule. Thank you, Ben Herman, 10 North Place, Chappaqua.
Thanks, Christina. And I would just note that that email actually came last week on Monday. We didn't have a town board meeting last week for public comment, so this is the first town board meeting we've had since we received that.
Yes, sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah, it said yesterday, and I just wanted to make note of it.
Yeah, thank you. I came in Tuesday, May 4th.
Any other public comments received? I don't see anyone with their hand raised. Pam, did we get any over YouTube?
No, we didn't, and no one has their hand raised at this time.
Okay, great. So the next thing on our agenda this evening is we have 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is with regard to a local law to amend Chapter 123, Section 21 concerning Old Pines Bridge Road to turn the train station traffic flow at the south lot from 1-way to 2 ways. Can we get a motion to open up the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Nick, are you going to do an overview for us of this issue?
And I'll put up on the screen the local law itself. So this is essentially, as you said, Supervisor, changing it from 1-way to 2-way for certain locations on Old Pine Bridge Road, heading in the south direction from the south side of the pay station to the south side of Tertiary Brook Bridge for approximately 450 feet south thereof. So this would allow for 2-way traffic in that limited location. This law is being discussed on at least 2 other occasions at workshop. And so tonight it's on for a public hearing for any comments that the public may have.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone who is a participant on this call would like to make a public comment with regard to this proposed change, please feel free to raise your digital hand. And again, I'll check with Christina. I believe we received a comment over email today.
Yes, we did. So we did, I could read that if you like, but I have a comment from a resident, Zach Mason. And this is received up via email. He said, while I can appreciate folks wanting to enter off Washington rather than looping around to Pizza Station, I think their inconvenience will be outweighed by the bottleneck that will occur in the evening when outbound trains arrive and we only have 1 lane to use to exit. People arrive in the morning in trickles, but we get off the trains in packs. Please keep things as is. That said, I appreciate the creative thinking you've all brought to the table during your tenure. Please continue to do so, even if I'm not with you in this instance. Thanks, Zach Mason.
That might
So-
be the nicest objection that we've received.
See, it can be done.
I do have a question. When is he referring to the exit out? He's saying that normally it would be more. I mean, I guess technically you could go right. Is that what he's referring to? I'm confused.
You know what? I think we actually addressed this concern. I believe that I'm trying to remember the name of the gentleman who lives right across Mr. Piquel, I believe, had a suggestion for us, citing this exact thing, saying that he was very concerned that there would only be 1 lane of traffic that was able to exit where now there's 2. And so what we did was we removed the parking to be able to preserve the 2 lanes of traffic exiting. And so I think his concern has actually been addressed by the revised layout that we created. So
Clarify, it'll be 3 lanes, basically.
exactly
One
correct.
coming in and 2 going out.
So the exit patterns will be exactly as it had been before. It's just that there will not be, we lose, I think, 4 spots right along that entranceway there.
Jeremy, I thought, I think you were occupied today, but I thought you would be a good person to respond to that email with that detail since you were the most familiar.
Yeah, I was a little confused what he was referring to, but that's why I was asking now, bringing it up here. I wasn't sure, but it's been answered. I made my opinion clear. If there's no one else from the public, I made my opinion clear. And if it's not something that's successful, we can fairly easily claw it back. So I think it's worth the shot right now, especially with less traffic, thereby, this is a good time to study this, make it happen.
When would it go into effect? If it was passed?
Upon filing with the Secretary of State, unless we delay it, and then just when we get the appropriate signage up. So,
right, yeah, I just want to, I don't know that we physically have those signs. I'd like to at least, have a little bit of lead time. So if we could, do it for 2 weeks, just so that we could get the proper signage.
Well, not only that, but the proper signage and the proper striping, because remember, nobody's had this before, and to have 2-way traffic where people thought it was 1-way traffic, we want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
Right, those the NYPD, pardon me, the Newcastle PD, the light up boards, new traffic pattern.
Right.
They can help
Yep.
us too.
Okay.
You know what, Nick, can we have it be June 1 and just give them a little bit of lead time?
yes. Mhm.
Nobody has their hand raised. There are no comments on the YouTube feed.
Okay, in that case, do we want to, I would be willing to entertain a motion from the board to close the public hearing and hold open for comments through when? Maybe the end of the week?
Yeah, Friday.
5 o'clock, 4:30.
No. I would do it Friday by noon. So we
May
so we
14th.
have them. Yeah.
All right, so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, everyone. So the next item that is on our agenda this evening is our public hearing with regard to creating a landmark designation for 10 Center Street, which is the Newcastle Community Center, but was formerly the public library. So we have with us this evening, Gray Williams. Gray, are you doing an overview for us this evening?
Yes. Now, can you hear me properly?
We can. Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. All right. And you're coming through loud and clear. All right. The Chappaqua Library actually was founded before the building in the early 1920s. The 1920s was a period of great growth, excitement. It was a very fizzy time. At any rate, there was a feeling that they really ought to have a bigger and better town library. First, they established a library association in the early 1920s when the library was in the top floor of a store. It was just a reading room with a small collection. Well, the collection grew and the demand grew, and by the end of the 1920s, or even before 26, 27, it was evident that they needed a home of their own. Fortunately, the school district had recently received the gift of a large property for their new comprehensive school, the new high school, the Horace Greeley School. And there was spare property at the Center Street end. And so a deal was made that without cost to the community, part of the land was given over for this new library. And the spark plug, really, for the new expansion was a local architect named Alfred Bussell. And he was not only an architect, but he was sort of a major member of the committees and the association for the expansion of the library, and he offered his services as an architect free of charge. They made him an offer they couldn't refuse. And so toward the end of the 1920s, he designed a new building, an 1,800 square foot building. And I'm going to try to share screen here. I'm not very good at this. Let's see what we can do. Yes. There we are. All right. Can you see this? Am I still on? Can you?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah. All
Looks
right.
great.
He designed the building on the right in the style known as Collegiate Gothic, which was very popular in the 1920s and 30s. It was sort of a mixture of medieval and Renaissance style, and it was considered appropriate for academic style buildings of all kinds. It was a cruciform building. It was built, it was completed in 1930, and it continued to serve for many years until after World War II. Actually, even in World War II, all new construction came to a screeching halt. And after World War II, there was a backlog of demand for the expansion of space in all sorts of buildings, our schools and so forth. At any rate, in 1952, they commissioned another local architect, fairly notable, James Renwick Thompson, to design an addition to the library. He did not choose the collegiate Gothic style, which was really out of fashion by that time, but a modern one. But he managed the transition between the two in a rather graceful way. He was the original architect of the Horace Greeley School. He won the competition. And there's a bit of a recall of the school in the flanking decorative wall by the front entrance in the same fieldstone pattern as in the school. At any rate, the building was completed in 1954. It more than doubled the size. It was a very modern building with more light and more space, and it served pretty well until the 1960s. And after that came a long period of searching for a new site and approval of a new design for a new building, which was built in the late 1970s. But that's another story. Are there any questions? The silence is deafening. Okay, over to you, Ivy.
Okay, thanks, Gray.
Thank you, Gray.
So before you open the public hearing, I would just make note that the town code states that the criteria the board needs to establish to designate a property as a historic landmark is that it, one, possesses special character of historic or aesthetic interest or value as part of a cultural, political, economic, or social history of the town. Two, is identified with historic person. Three, embodies distinctive characteristics of a type, period, method of construction, or possesses unique architectural and artistic qualities. Four, is the work of a designer or master whose work has significantly influenced an age, or because of its location or singular physical characteristic, represents an established and familiar visual feature of a neighborhood. So when the town board makes its determination, it needs to consider those factors.
I should like to say that the community center satisfies almost all of those criteria.
Helpful.
So noted.
So can we get a motion from the board to open up the public hearing?
To open it or shut it?
We need to open it, don't we? Have we not opened it yet officially?
I move to open the public hearing on designating the community center as a landmark.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was a strong second.
So if anyone is here this evening who would like to offer a comment with regard to this landmark designation, please feel free to raise your digital hand. And while you consider whether or not you'd like to do so, I will check with Christina Papes. Christina, we did receive a letter, I believe, from the Chappaqua Library Board.
Yes, we did receive a letter on May 7th, and it was to the town board with regard to this item. I can read it out loud if that's
That'd be nice.
okay. So, dear Town of Newcastle Supervisor Ivy Poole and the town board members, the Chappaqua Central School District Public Library Board of Trustees, as fiduciaries of the Chappaqua Library, wishes to support the Newcastle Landmarks Advisory Committee recommendations that the original Chappaqua Library building, now the Newcastle Community Center, located at 10 Center Street, Chappaqua, and owned by the town of Newcastle, be designated a Newcastle landmark. The building deserves recognition for its long service to the community and for its handsome design by two distinguished local architects, Alfred Bussell and James Renwick Thompson. It especially means a lot to the Chappaqua Library as its original home of the Chappaqua Central School District and the hamlet. Thank you for your time and attention. Sincerely, Ronnie Diamondstein, President.
Very nice.
Christina. Very nice. So I don't see any of our attendees with their hand up. Pam, I'll just check with you to see whether we have any comments over YouTube.
No, we don't, and no hands raised.
Okay, thanks. So, I certainly support this. I appreciate the overview that Gray has given us of the history of this building, and I agree that it seems to check all the boxes, so to speak, with regard to the criteria that Nick listed. I don't know if anyone else on the town board has any comments or questions. So I would be willing to entertain a motion from the board to close the public hearing and perhaps keep this one open for public comments also until Friday at noon. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll second that motion. I'll make that motion, pardon me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Well,
Thank
great.
you all
Thank you
very
for
much.
joining us.
Gray.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gray.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Grace.
A pleasure. If you don't mind, I'm going to sign off.
Okay.
I think it may be helpful to for someone to reach out to the Rec Commission, because I think they may have had some questions about the implications to their future use of the building. Understanding that there was not like complete clarity for the Rec Board on whether this meant anything at all for them.
As far as I'm concerned, there's
Doesn't.
nothing in this that would affect them in the least.
That was my understanding. That is what I explained, but I think that they weren't included, didn't feel included in the discussion.
Well, ask them, but remember that this building belongs to you and you control it. There's nothing in the landmark law that places any additional requirement on your judgment.
Thank you.
Okay, all quiet.
Thanks.
Good. Best wishes and good evening.
Thanks, Gray. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda this evening is our consent agenda items. So we have a number of items that have been placed on our consent agenda. But before we move forward with enacting these items, I want to ask our town board members whether anyone would like to remove any of the consent agenda items and place them in our regular resolutions. No? Okay. Then I think we're ready to roll if one of the town board members wants to introduce this.
I can. I move to approve the consent agenda as submitted, consisting of authorization to post position recreation supervisor, authorization to hire for a recreation department, adoption of April 23rd, 2021 and May 4th, 2021 minutes, authorization to attend a grant writing workshop for members of our administration, authorization for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant annual chemical bid award price extensions, resolution to award Chappaqua Train Station, Pocket Park, and Glazer Preserve for spring 2021 tree planting bid, and an authorization to accept a donation of a portable generator.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Lisa, you want to just keep going?
Sure. I move to approve the payment of claims in the amount of $4,208,579.37 listed on the summary pre-check writing report and detail voucher detail report, both dated May 7th, 2021. Checks will be issued and mailed to each claimant listed on Wednesday, May 12th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to authorize the approval of a tax certiorari refund of $356.11 to 235 SMR LLC at 235 Sawmill River Road in Millwood.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Else want to go?
Sure. I move to authorize the approval of a refund for the town tax to Lydia Frank, 32 Newstead Lane, Chappaqua, New York, for the total amount of $728.38.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to approve ELQ change order number 42, which is a credit for unacceptable granite curbing in 17 locations installed by ELQ as part of the Chappaqua Infrastructure and Streetscape project totaling $55,727.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to adopt the following resolution. Be it resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized to execute the following petition to the County of Westchester to remove from the Sawmill Valley Sanitary Sewer District the real property located at 63 Bivort Road, Chappaqua, New York, also identified as Section 108-327.1 on the Newcastle tax maps, and to take or cause to be taken by town staff any other work necessary to implement this resolution. The petition of Ivy Poole as town supervisor of the town of Newcastle respectfully submits to the Westchester County Board of Legislators, one, that the town of Newcastle is a municipal corporation duly organized and existing under the laws of the state of New York and located in the county of Westchester and state of New York. That the town submits this petition requesting that 63 Bivort Road, Chappaqua, New York is also identified as listed on the Newcastle tax maps, single-family residential property, more than 40,000 square feet, property class 210, consisting of 5.19 acres to be removed from the Sawmill Valley Sanitary Sewer District. A figure depicting this property is attached as Exhibit A, and the listing of the tax map information for this property is attached as Exhibit B. That the town concluded that because the property is not receiving services from the Sawmill Valley Sewer District, nor is there any likelihood of the property receiving any such services in the future, and the property is located more than 100 feet from the nearest sewer, said property would benefit from its removal from the Sawmill Valley Sanitary Sewer District. Therefore, the town of Newcastle hereby petitions the Westchester County Board of Legislators pursuant to a resolution duly adopted by the Newcastle Town Board to remove 63 Bivort Road, Chappaqua, also identified as such on the Newcastle tax maps, and to take all steps as may be necessary to effectuate such removal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move it, someone else.
I move to approve the film permit for the Public House Productions LLC to film at 48 Hicks Cross Road with the following conditions as noted below. Would you like me to read all those conditions? Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Can we also add, as amended if possible with regard to the screening, if we want to add that in, if we're allowed to?
We can't add it in as a condition because they haven't consented to it yet. So I think we can, Jill has a request and Jill will follow up on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but we'll add it in if they consent.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so we'll hold 7 and 8 for our next meeting with regard to the two-way street and
Yep.
the community center.
And then resolution number 9 is to adopt a home rule request for the enactment and adoption of the Senate Bill 06046B and the Assembly Bill 7033A, authorizing the town of Newcastle to alienate and discontinue parkland located on Northway in the town of Newcastle, as more fully set forth in the resolution before the board.
Is that a so moved?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think, is that it?
I think that's it.
That's it.
I think that's it.
And we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
And
All in favor?
aye.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thank you, everyone.
Have a great
Night
night.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.